What if I told you that the story of Adam and Eve isn't as complete as you've always believed? We've all heard about Cain and Abel, the infamous brothers whose rivalry shaped one of the Bible's most dramatic tales. But what about their sisters? Yes, Adam and Eve had daughters, many of them, and their stories have been hidden in the shadows of history. These women weren't just bystanders. They were pivotal to humanity's beginnings, shaping genealogies and spiritual legacies that ripple through time. Yet, their names, roles, and contributions remain largely untold. Why does this matter? Because understanding their story gives us a fuller picture of our shared origins. Imagine uncovering the lives of these forgotten figures who walked alongside the first man and woman, contributing to the very fabric of human existence. Ancient texts like the Book of Jubilees offer tantalizing clues, revealing names like Avon and Azura, daughters who married their brothers and became mothers to generations. Their lives raise profound questions. How did they navigate their unique roles? What can we learn from their untold stories? Today, we're diving deep into this mystery. Together, we'll explore the daughters of Adam and Eve, their identities, their significance, and why their legacy matters more than you might think. Stay with me. You won't want to miss this. What if I told you that the story of Adam and Eve isn't as complete as you've always believed? For centuries, we've been captivated by the tales of Cain and Abel, the infamous brothers whose rivalry led to one of the Bible's most dramatic and tragic moments. Their story has been retold countless times, analyzed in sermons, depicted in art, and even referenced in modern culture. But what about their sisters? Yes, Adam and Eve had daughters, many of them, and their stories have been hidden in the shadows of history, overshadowed by the prominence of their brothers. These women weren't just passive figures. They were pivotal to humanity's beginnings, shaping genealogies, cultural identities, and spiritual legacies that ripple through time. Yet, their names, roles, and contributions remain largely untold. Why does this matter? Because understanding their story gives us a fuller picture of our shared origins. Imagine uncovering the lives of these forgotten figures who walked alongside the first man and woman, contributing to the very fabric of human existence. Ancient texts like the Book of Jubilees offer tantalizing clues, revealing names like Avon and Azura, daughters who married their brothers and became mothers to generations. Their lives raise profound questions. How did they navigate their unique roles? What can we learn from their untold stories? The omission of Adam and Eve's daughters from mainstream narratives is not just an oversight. It's a reflection of how history often prioritizes certain voices over others. Sons are celebrated for their deeds, while daughters are relegated to the background, their contributions deemed secondary or irrelevant. But think about it. Without these daughters, there would be no descendants, no continuation of humanity. They were essential, not only biologically but also culturally and spiritually. They carried the weight of ensuring the survival of the human race, and yet, their stories have been left out of the spotlight. This erasure prompts us to ask deeper questions. Why do some stories endure while others fade into obscurity? Is it because society has historically valued male narratives over female ones? Or is it simply a matter of limited documentation, leaving us with fragments of a much larger puzzle? Whatever the reason, the absence of Adam and Eve's daughters from the dominant narrative is a reminder that history is often incomplete. It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to seek out the untold stories that might reshape our understanding of the past. Today, we're diving deep into this mystery. Together, we'll explore the daughters of Adam and Eve, their identities, their significance, and why their legacy matters more than you might think. We'll examine ancient texts, analyze historical context, and piece together the fragments of their lives to paint a clearer picture of who they were and what they meant to humanity's earliest days. As we embark on this journey, I want you to consider this. What would it mean to reclaim these lost voices? How might their stories change the way we view our shared origins? Stay with me. You won't want to miss this. The daughters of Adam and Eve deserve to be remembered, and their stories deserve to be told. Let's give them the attention they've long been denied. When we turn to the Bible for answers about Adam and Eve's daughters, we find ourselves facing a curious silence. The scriptures mention that Adam and Eve had sons and daughters, but it stops there. No names, no details, no stories. This absence is striking, especially when we consider how much attention is given to their sons, Cain and Abel, and later Seth. It's almost as if the daughters were intentionally left out of the narrative, their lives deemed unworthy of documentation. But why? And what does this omission tell us about the way history, and even sacred texts, prioritizes certain voices over others? To answer these questions, we must first understand the context in which these ancient texts were written. The Bible, particularly the book of Genesis, was crafted not just as a historical account, but as a theological framework, a story meant to explain humanity's origins, its relationship with God, and its moral responsibilities. In this context, the focus on male figures like Adam, Cain, Abel, and Seth makes sense. These men were seen as the architects of humanity's spiritual and physical lineage, their actions shaping the trajectory of human history. But what about the women? Were they truly less important, or were their roles simply understood differently at the time? The lack of detail about Adam and Eve's daughters leaves us with more questions than answers. For instance, how many daughters did Adam and Eve have? The Bible hints that their family was vast, stating that Adam lived for 930 years and had other sons and daughters. If we take this literally, it's possible that Adam and Eve had hundreds of children over the course of their lifetimes. Imagine the sheer scale of their family, the complexity of relationships, the diversity of personalities, and the challenges of maintaining harmony in such a large household. Yet, despite this implied abundance, the daughters remain nameless, their individual identities erased from the record. This silence becomes even more intriguing when we consider the role these daughters would have played in humanity's survival. In a world where marriage between siblings was necessary to populate the earth, the daughters of Adam and Eve were not just wives and mothers. They were the very foundation of human civilization. Without them, there would be no descendants, no continuation of the human race. Their contributions, though unspoken, were monumental. They carried the weight of ensuring humanity's survival, yet their stories remain untold. Fortunately, we are not entirely without clues. While the Bible itself offers little information, other ancient texts step in to fill the gaps. One such text is the Book of Jubilees, an apocryphal work that expands on the biblical narrative. Though not considered canonical by most religious traditions, the Book of Jubilees provides fascinating insights into the lives of Adam and Eve's daughters. According to this text, Adam and Eve's first daughter was named Avon, who married Cain, while their second daughter, Azura, married Seth. These unions were not just familial arrangements. They were foundational to the genealogies outlined in the Bible, connecting generations and ensuring the continuity of humanity's spiritual legacy. The inclusion of these names in the Book of Jubilees is significant because it reminds us that the story of Adam and Eve's daughters is not entirely lost. Fragments of their lives exist, scattered across ancient writings and oral traditions. These fragments challenge us to piece together a more complete picture of humanity's beginnings, one that acknowledges the contributions of both men and women. They also invite us to reflect on the nature of storytelling itself. Who gets to decide which stories are told, and whose voices are deemed worthy of preservation? As we delve deeper into the mystery of Adam and Eve's daughters, I want you to consider this. What does it mean to reclaim these forgotten narratives? How might their stories reshape our understanding of humanity's shared origins? By exploring these questions, we not only honor the daughters of Adam and Eve, but also affirm the value of every voice in the grand tapestry of history. Their stories may have been overlooked, but they are far from insignificant. Stay with me as we continue this journey, uncovering the hidden threads that connect us all. To truly understand the daughters of Adam and Eve, we must turn to texts that lie beyond the canonical boundaries of the Bible. One such text is the Book of Jubilees, an ancient Jewish work that offers a richer, more detailed account of humanity's earliest days. Though it is not considered part of the official biblical canon by most religious traditions, the Book of Jubilees has long been revered in certain communities, particularly among the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Its inclusion in their canon speaks to its enduring significance as a source of spiritual insight and historical context. For our purposes, this text provides a treasure trove of information about Adam and Eve's daughters, names, relationships, and roles that have been otherwise lost to time. The Book of Jubilees is often referred to as the Little Genesis because it expands on the stories found in the Book of Genesis, filling in gaps and offering interpretations that align with ancient Jewish traditions. It was likely written between the 2nd century BCE and the 1st century CE, a period when Jewish scholars were deeply engaged in interpreting and preserving their sacred history. While some may dismiss it as non-canonical, its value lies not in its theological authority, but in its ability to shed light on perspectives that might otherwise remain hidden. For those of us seeking to uncover the untold stories of Adam and Eve's daughters, the Book of Jubilees is an invaluable resource. According to the Book of Jubilees, Adam and Eve's first daughter was named Avon. She married Cain, her brother, and together they became the parents of Enoch, who would go on to found the first city mentioned in the Bible. This detail is significant because it connects Avon directly to one of humanity's earliest acts of civilization building. Without her, there would be no Enoch, no city, and no continuation of Cain's lineage. Yet, despite her pivotal role, Avon's name is rarely spoken outside of scholarly circles. Her story reminds us that behind every great man in history, there is often a woman whose contributions have been overlooked or erased. The second daughter mentioned in the Book of Jubilees is Azura, who married Seth, another of Adam and Eve's sons. Seth is often portrayed as the righteous counterpart to Cain, chosen by God to carry forward the spiritual legacy of humanity after Abel's murder. Azura's marriage to Seth places her at the heart of this divine plan, ensuring the continuation of a lineage that would eventually lead to Noah and ultimately to all of humanity. Through Azura, we see how the daughters of Adam and Eve were not just passive participants in their family's story, but active agents in shaping the future of humankind. What makes the Book of Jubilees so compelling is its attention to detail. It doesn't just provide names, it situates these figures within a broader narrative of human development. For example, the text describes how Adam and Eve's children were instructed to marry their siblings in order to populate the earth, a practice that reflects the unique challenges of humanity's earliest days. The daughters, in particular, bore the weight of this responsibility, ensuring that the human race would survive and thrive. Their marriages were not merely familial obligations, but acts of faith and resilience, undertaken in obedience to God's command. The Book of Jubilees also emphasizes the spiritual dimensions of these unions. It portrays Adam and Eve's daughters as vessels of divine purpose, entrusted with the task of carrying forward humanity's covenant with God. This perspective elevates their roles beyond the biological, framing them as essential contributors to the spiritual fabric of creation. By marrying their brothers and bearing children, they became the architects of humanity's genealogical and spiritual legacy, a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of faith, family, and identity today. As we reflect on the insights provided by the Book of Jubilees, it becomes clear that the daughters of Adam and Eve were far more than footnotes in the story of humanity's origins. They were central figures whose lives and choices had profound implications for the future of the human race. Their stories challenge us to reconsider the way we view history, encouraging us to look beyond the surface and seek out the voices that have been silenced or forgotten. By exploring texts like the Book of Jubilees, we not only reclaim these lost narratives, but also affirm the importance of inclusivity in storytelling. Every voice matters, and every story has the power to reshape our understanding of the past. As we continue this journey, let us carry with us the names of Avan and Azura, honoring their contributions and ensuring that their legacies are no longer confined to the margins of history. Stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more we uncover, and the more we realize how interconnected we all truly are. The names Avan and Azura, as revealed in the Book of Jubilees, are more than just labels. They are keys to unlocking a deeper understanding of humanity's earliest chapters. These daughters of Adam and Eve were not mere bystanders in the unfolding drama of creation. They were active participants whose lives shaped the course of human history. To fully appreciate their significance, we must delve into their roles, their marriages, and the spiritual and cultural legacies they left behind. Let us begin with Avan, the first daughter mentioned in the Book of Jubilees. She married Cain, her brother, and together they became the parents of Enoch, a figure who looms large in biblical tradition. Enoch is credited with founding the first city, a monumental step in humanity's journey from nomadic existence to settled civilization. This achievement is often attributed to Cain. But what about Avan? Without her, there would be no Enoch, no city, and no continuation of Cain's lineage. Her role as a mother and wife was not just biological, it was foundational. She carried the weight of ensuring that humanity would survive and thrive, even in the shadow of Cain's infamous act of fratricide. Avan's story challenges us to reconsider the traditional narrative, reminding us that behind every great man in history, there is often a woman whose contributions have been overlooked or erased. Now let us turn to Azura, the second daughter named in the Book of Jubilees. Azura's marriage to Seth places her at the heart of humanity's spiritual legacy. Seth is often portrayed as the righteous counterpart to Cain, chosen by God to carry forward the covenant after Abel's murder. Azura's union with Seth ensured the continuation of a lineage that would eventually lead to Noah and, through him, to all of humanity. Her role was not just familial, but deeply spiritual. By marrying Seth and bearing children, Azura became a vessel of divine purpose, entrusted with the task of preserving humanity's covenant with God. Her story reminds us that the daughters of Adam and Eve were not just passive participants in their family's narrative, but active agents in shaping the future of humankind. The marriages of Avon and Azura to their brothers highlight another fascinating aspect of their roles: the necessity of sibling unions in humanity's earliest days. The Bible and the Book of Jubilees both emphasize that Adam and Eve's children were instructed to marry their siblings in order to populate the earth. This practice, while foreign to modern sensibilities, reflects the unique challenges faced by humanity's first family. The daughters bore the weight of this responsibility, ensuring that the human race would survive and thrive. Their marriages were not merely familial obligations, but acts of faith and resilience, undertaken in obedience to God's command. Beyond their immediate families, the daughters of Adam and Eve also played a crucial role in shaping humanity's cultural and ethnic diversity. According to ancient traditions, Adam and Eve's descendants spread across the earth, forming the foundation of various nations and peoples. The daughters, as mothers and wives, were instrumental in this process. They carried within them the genetic and cultural seeds that would give rise to the rich tapestry of human diversity. Modern science supports this idea, with mitochondrial DNA studies suggesting that all humans descend from a common ancestral woman, often referred to as mitochondrial Eve. While this scientific concept is distinct from the biblical Eve, it underscores the shared origins of humanity and the pivotal role of women in our collective ancestry. The spiritual dimensions of Avon and Azura's roles cannot be overstated. They were not just mothers and wives. They were architects of humanity's genealogical and spiritual legacy. Through their marriages and children, they ensured the continuation of a lineage that would shape the course of human history. Their lives remind us that the daughters of Adam and Eve were central to the unfolding story of creation, carrying forward both the physical and spiritual threads of humanity's existence. As we reflect on the stories of Avon and Azura, we are reminded of the importance of reclaiming lost narratives. Their names may have been relegated to the margins of history, but their contributions were anything but marginal. They were essential figures whose lives and choices had profound implications for the future of humanity. By honoring their legacies, we affirm the value of every voice in the grand tapestry of history. Stay with me as we continue to explore the untold stories of Adam and Eve's daughters. Together, we will uncover the hidden threads that connect us all, weaving a richer, more inclusive narrative of humanity's shared origins. Their stories are not just relics of the past. They are living reminders of the power of inclusion, resilience, and faith. Let us carry their names forward, ensuring that their contributions are never forgotten. When we think about Adam and Eve, we often imagine them as the first couple, the progenitors of humanity, standing alone in the Garden of Eden. But what if I told you that their family was far larger and more extraordinary than most of us have ever imagined? The Bible hints at this when it says that Adam lived for 930 years and had other sons and daughters. If we take this literally, it's not a stretch to imagine that Adam and Eve had hundreds of children over the course of their lifetimes. This revelation forces us to rethink the scale of their family and the sheer magnitude of their role in populating the earth. To put this into perspective, let's consider modern fertility records. The Guinness World Record for the most children born to one mother is held by Valentina Vassilieva, a Russian woman who lived in the 18th century. She gave birth to 69 children, including multiple sets of twins, triplets, and quadruplets. While her story is remarkable, it pales in comparison to the potential fertility of Adam and Eve. Their long lifespans, measured in centuries rather than decades, would have allowed them to bear children across many generations. Imagine the complexity of such a family: siblings marrying siblings, cousins marrying cousins, and an ever-expanding network of relationships. It's a scenario that challenges our modern understanding of family dynamics, but reflects the unique circumstances of humanity's earliest days. The extreme fertility of Eve raises profound questions about the nature of life in their time. What was it like to live for nearly a millennium? How did they manage the emotional and logistical challenges of raising so many children? And what role did Eve, as the first mother, play in nurturing and guiding this vast family? These questions invite us to reflect on the resilience and adaptability of humanity's first family. Eve, in particular, stands out as a figure of immense strength and endurance. She was not just the mother of Cain and Abel, she was the mother of all humanity, entrusted with the monumental task of ensuring its survival. Eve's fertility also carries deep symbolic meaning in many ancient cultures. Women were revered as life-givers, embodying the creative power of nature itself. Eve's ability to bear countless children aligns with this archetype, positioning her as a symbol of abundance, continuity, and hope. Her fertility was not just biological, it was spiritual, representing humanity's potential to flourish and thrive even in the face of adversity. Through her, we see the divine purpose behind creation, to fill the earth with life and to carry forward the legacy of God's covenant. But Eve's fertility was not without its challenges. Raising hundreds of children would have required immense patience, wisdom, and faith. Imagine the daily struggles of managing such a large household, teaching values, resolving conflicts, and instilling a sense of purpose in each child. Eve's role as a mother was not just about bearing children, it was about shaping their character and preparing them for the responsibilities of adulthood. Her influence would have extended far beyond her immediate family, affecting generations to come. The fertility of Adam and Eve also underscores the interconnectedness of humanity. Every person alive today can trace their ancestry back to this first family. This shared origin reminds us that despite our differences, we are all part of the same human family. Our diversity, whether cultural, ethnic, or genetic, is rooted in the same source. Modern science supports this idea, with mitochondrial DNA studies suggesting that all humans descend from a common ancestral woman, often referred to as mitochondrial Eve. While this scientific concept is distinct from the biblical Eve, it reinforces the notion of a shared beginning and highlights the pivotal role of women in humanity's story. As we reflect on the fertility of Adam and Eve, we are reminded of the incredible responsibility they carried. Their task was not just to populate the earth, but to lay the foundation for human civilization. Through their children, they ensured the continuation of life and culture and faith. Their story challenges us to appreciate the miracle of life and the resilience of those who came before us. Stay with me as we continue to explore the untold stories of Adam and Eve's daughters. Together, we will uncover the hidden threads that connect us all, weaving a richer, more inclusive narrative of humanity's shared origins. Their stories are not just relics of the past, they are living reminders of the power of inclusion, resilience, and faith. Let us carry their names forward, ensuring that their contributions are never forgotten. The descendants of Adam and Eve were not a monolithic group. They were as diverse as humanity itself. This diversity is one of the most fascinating aspects of their story, offering us a glimpse into the origins of cultural, ethnic, and variation that defines our world today. While the Bible does not provide explicit details about the ethnicities or physical appearances of Adam and Eve's children, ancient traditions
and modern science suggest that their lineage gave rise to the rich tapestry of human diversity we see around us. To understand this, we must consider both the biblical narrative and the broader implications of humanity's shared ancestry. Let us begin with the biblical account. After being expelled from the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve's family faced the monumental task of populating the earth. Their children married one another, forming unions that would eventually lead to the establishment of distinct communities. Over time, these communities spread across different regions, adapting to their environment and developing unique customs, languages, and ways of life. The Bible mentions the descendants of
Cain, Seth, and other sons of Adam and Eve, but it leaves room for interpretation when it comes to the daughters. What role did these women play in shaping the cultural identities of their families? As mothers and wives, they would have been instrumental in passing down traditions, values, and practices that defined their communities. Their influence, though often overlooked, was essential to the development of early human societies. Modern science offers additional insights into the diversity of Adam and Eve's descendants. Mitochondrial DNA studies have identified a common maternal ancestor, often referred to as mitochondrial Eve, from whom all humans are descended. Similarly, research on the Y chromosome points to a Y chromosomal Adam, a common paternal ancestor. These findings align with the biblical narrative of a shared origin, reinforcing the idea that all humanity traces its roots back to a single family. But what makes this discovery so profound is the way it highlights the interconnectedness of humanity. Despite our differences in appearance, language, and culture, we are all part of the same family tree. This realization challenges us to rethink the divisions that often separate us, reminding us of the unity that lies beneath the surface. The diversity of Adam and Eve's descendants also reflects the adaptability of the human species. As their children spread across the earth, they encountered vastly different environments, from arid deserts to lush forests, from freezing tundras to tropical islands. Over generations, their bodies adapted to these conditions, leading to variations in skin color, body type, and other physical traits. For example, darker skin evolved in regions with intense sunlight to protect against UV radiation, while lighter skin developed in areas with less sunlight to facilitate vitamin D absorption. These adaptations were not random. They were responses to the challenges posed by their surroundings. Through this process, humanity became a mosaic of diversity, each group uniquely suited to its environment, yet still connected to the whole. But diversity is not just a matter of biology, it is also cultural. The daughters of Adam and Eve would have played a crucial role in shaping the cultural identities of their families. As mothers, they would have taught their children how to cook, weave, farm, and worship. They would have passed down stories, songs, and rituals that formed the foundation of their community's identity. As wives, they would have bridged the gap between different families, fostering alliances and ensuring the continuity of shared traditions. Their contributions, though often unspoken, were vital to the survival and flourishing of early human societies. This diversity also raises important questions about inclusion and representation. Why is it that certain voices, like those of Adam and Eve's daughters, are often excluded from the narrative? By reclaiming their stories, we affirm the value of every individual in the grand tapestry of history. We recognize that diversity is not just a feature of humanity, it is its strength. It is what allows us to innovate, adapt, and thrive in an ever-changing world. As we reflect on the descendants of Adam and Eve, we are reminded of the beauty and complexity of humanity. Their story is not just one of shared origins, but of shared potential. It challenges us to embrace our differences while celebrating our unity, to honor the past while building a better future. Stay with me as we continue to explore the untold stories of Adam and Eve's daughters. Together, we will uncover the hidden threads that connect us all, weaving a richer, more inclusive narrative of humanity's shared origins. Their stories are not just relics of the past. They are living reminders of the power of inclusion, resilience, and faith. Let us carry their names forward, ensuring that their contributions are never forgotten. As we bring this exploration to a close, I find myself reflecting deeply on the untold stories of Adam and Eve's daughters. Their lives, though often overlooked, were anything but insignificant. They were the architects of humanity's earliest days, the unsung heroes who ensured the survival and flourishing of our species. Yet, for centuries, their contributions have been relegated to the margins of history, their voices silenced by time and tradition. This realization leaves me with a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunity to uncover their stories and a renewed commitment to honoring their legacies. What strikes me most about these daughters is their resilience. Imagine the challenges they faced, living in a world still in its infancy, navigating the complexities of sibling marriages, and bearing the weight of ensuring humanity's survival. These women were not just passive participants in their family's narrative. They were active agents, shaping the course of human history with every decision they made. Their lives remind us that behind every great man, or even every great civilization, there are women whose sacrifices and contributions often go unnoticed. By reclaiming their stories, we affirm the value of every individual in the grand tapestry of history. The key takeaway from this journey is simple yet profound. Every story matters. Whether it's the daughters of Adam and Eve or the countless unnamed figures throughout history, each life contributes to the rich mosaic of human existence. Their legacy reminds us of the importance of inclusivity, not just in storytelling, but in how we view the world around us. By seeking out these overlooked perspectives, we enrich our understanding of where we come from and ultimately who we are. These stories challenge us to look beyond the surface, to question the narratives we've been told, and to embrace the complexity of our shared origins. But this journey doesn't end here. It is my hope that this exploration inspires you to take action, to dig deeper, to ask questions, and to engage in thoughtful conversations about the stories that shape our understanding of the past. Perhaps you'll be inspired to research ancient texts like the Book of Jubilees, or explore the intersections of science and faith through mitochondrial DNA studies. Maybe you'll share this conversation with someone else, sparking dialogue and reflection. Whatever path you choose, let it be one of curiosity and discovery. I also want to invite you to reflect on your own role in preserving and sharing untold stories. Who in your life has been overlooked or underestimated? Whose voice deserves to be heard? By amplifying these voices, we not only honor the individuals themselves, but also contribute to a more inclusive and compassionate world. The daughters of Adam and Eve remind us that no contribution is too small, no voice too quiet, to make a lasting impact. Finally, I leave you with a call to action. Let this be the beginning of your own journey into the hidden corners of history. Explore the stories that intrigue you, challenge the assumptions you've inherited, and seek out the voices that have been silenced. Together, we can ensure that these forgotten figures are never truly lost again. Their stories are not relics of the past. They are living reminders of the power of inclusion, resilience, and faith. Let us carry their names forward, ensuring that their contributions are celebrated and remembered. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Your curiosity and engagement have made this exploration possible, and I am deeply grateful for your presence. As we part ways, I encourage you to continue asking questions, seeking answers, and uncovering the hidden threads that connect us all. Humanity's story is far from complete, and it is up to us to write the next chapter. Stay curious, stay inspired, and above all, stay connected to the stories that define us. As we come to the end of this exploration, I can't help but reflect on how much these untold stories shape our understanding of history and faith. The daughters of Adam and Eve remind us that there is always more beneath the surface, hidden narratives waiting to be uncovered, voices yearning to be heard. It's humbling to think about their lives, their choices, and their resilience in a world still taking its first steps. They weren't just names or footnotes. They were real people who carried the weight of humanity's beginnings on their shoulders. And yet, for centuries, their stories have been overlooked. This makes me wonder, how many other forgotten figures are out there, shaping our past without us even realizing it? The key takeaway from today's discussion is simple but profound. Every story matters. Whether it's the daughters of Adam and Eve or the countless unnamed individuals throughout history, each life contributes to the tapestry of human existence. Their legacy reminds us of the importance of inclusivity, not just in storytelling, but in how we view the world around us. By seeking out these overlooked perspectives, we enrich our understanding of where we come from and ultimately who we are. So now, I challenge you. What will you do with this newfound perspective? Will you question long-held assumptions? Will you dig deeper into the stories that intrigue you? Or will you share this conversation with someone else, sparking dialogue and reflection? Let this be a starting point, a call to action, to explore, learn, and grow. Together, let's honor the forgotten voices of history by ensuring they're never truly lost again. Thank you for joining me on this journey.